You know that feeling, that deep sigh you let out when you look at your to-do list and it's just filled with things like download report from X, copy data into Y, send email based on Z.
Oh, absolutely. It feels less like actual work and more like, well, being a human copy-paste machine.
Exactly. A human router just pushing information around manually over and over again. It's tedious.
It really is. It's the kind of repetitive friction that just drains your energy, kills productivity, and the promise of automation, the real goal, is to lift you out of that cycle.
Right. To free you up for the tasks that actually need, human creativity and decision-making.
Precisely.
And that's exactly what we're digging into today. We're going to explore this tool called n8n. That's n8n.
n8n. Got it.
Yeah, and it's designed specifically to take those manual chores you might be doing and turn them into smooth, automated workflows.
Okay.
But it goes beyond just simple if this, then that. We're going to unpack how n8n lets you build smart, AI-powered agents. Agents that can handle tasks requiring a surprising amount of, intelligence and adaptability.
That's a fascinating evolution, isn't it? Moving beyond just fixed sequences of actions to building systems that can actually interpret, make decisions, maybe use external tools or information to achieve a goal. It adds this whole layer of intelligence onto the automation.
Okay, so let's unpack this for you listening. Okay. This deep dive, it's built on a stack of source material. We've pulled from official n8n documentation, things like their quick start guides,
standard stuff,
detailed tutorials specifically focused on building these AI agents we mentioned, and importantly, we've folded in insights from real-world community discussions.
That's key. The practical side.
Exactly. Gives us that practical perspective, including some really interesting insights into how the tool's being used in different kinds of contexts, different environments. Like there's a specific case study we found from a small company dealing with automation challenges in Iran.
That blend is invaluable, isn't it? You get the official, how it's supposed to work, and then the community, how it actually gets used.
Right.
Sometimes in, challenging environments with unique local needs or infrastructure limits, it really grounds the technical talk in real-world usefulness.
So our mission today is pretty clear. We want to give you a really comprehensive look at n8. What are its fundamental parts? How do you actually get started and build something simple?
The basics.
The basics. Then what's the breadth of its capabilities? Like how many things can it connect to?
Integrations, yeah.
And then we'll spend a good chunk of time really understanding how you can use its features to build those intelligent AI-powered agents we talked about for tackling the more complex, maybe less structured tasks.
Think of this as your shortcut, right? We're boiling down the most important bits from all these sources.
Yep.
Our goal is really to equip you with the understanding of how to connect your apps, build solid workflows, and start thinking about weaving AI into your automation plan, even if you're not, writing code all day long right now.
All right, let's jump right in then. At its core, what is n8n? Our sources consistently define it as a workflow automation tool, a powerful one. Its main design purpose, connecting different applications and services together.
And the whole point of connecting them is, of course, automation. It's all about automating those repetitive processes.
Right.
And the sources really highlight that a major goal from the start was accessibility, making it possible to automate big chunks of your work without needing, initially at least, complex coding skills. It's trying to democratize workflow automation in a way.
And it seems to be catching on.
Yeah.
The sources mention n8n started in Berlin back in 2019, which, feels recent in tech.
It does.
But it's already scaled quite a bit. They mentioned over 200,000 active users globally now.
Wow, that's significant growth. That kind of user base usually means a tool is hitting a real nerve, solving actual problems for people.
Yeah, it's not just a flash in the pan.
And that user base, it's not just a number, it represents a community, which is important for support, for sharing knowledge. And the reason it seems to resonate comes down to its fundamental structure, the core building blocks you see right away. There are three main ideas: nodes, connections, and workflows.
Okay, let's break those down simply. Nodes, I kind of think of these as the individual action steps in your automated process. Each node does one specific thing, right?
Exactly. Like fetching data, sending a Slack message, changing some text, saving a file somewhere. Each node is a self-contained unit of work, does one job.
Okay. And then you have connections. These are the lines you actually draw between the nodes on the screen.
Yep, the visual links. They show the flow, the order things happen in, data, or just the execution path passes from one node to the next along these connections.
They define the path the automation takes.
Precisely. And when you put nodes and connections together, arrange them to show a complete automated process from start to finish. What you've built is a workflow.
The whole picture. The entire diagram on the screen is your workflow. It's the map. Get data here, filter it, maybe send it down one path if something's true, another path if it's false, and then maybe finish by sending an email.
And this visual aspect is really key to n8n's approachability. The user interface, it's basically this canvas where you drag nodes onto it, connect them with lines, and you configure their settings right there, visually.
So it feels less like typing out instructions and more like drawing a smart flowchart that actually does the things you're mapping out.
That's a really good way to put it. This visual editor is a big part of why it's accessible, even if you're not a developer. It makes understanding and building even pretty complex sequences much more manageable because you can see the whole process laid out.
You don't have to hold the entire structure in your head.
Right. It's right there in front of you.
So why is this structure helpful for you listening?
Well, it means you can start automating without needing to master programming first. You can visualize the steps you want your apps to take and then build that process visually. It really lowers the barrier to entry. It shifts the focus, doesn't it? From the technical how to the logical what steps do I actually want my process to follow?
Okay, that gives us a solid handle on the core ideas. Now, to really get a feel for how this works in practice, the sources walk us through a very quick start tutorial.
Right, the hands-on bit.
Yeah, this isn't designed to teach you everything, but specifically to get you interacting with the UI, seeing nodes, connections, workflows in action really fast.
It's about immediate engagement, like bypass the deep theory for a second, just get in there and click some things, drag some things around.
And the quick start is typically done using n8n Cloud. They mentioned there's a free trial for new users, which is great for just trying it out without installing anything.
Makes sense. Easy entry point.
But it's important to note, and we'll definitely circle back to this, that self-hosting n8n is also a really significant option. One that offers some distinct advantages, especially in certain situations, like that Iranian case study mentioned.
Yeah, the cloud is usually the easiest way to test drive. But the self-hosted version, that's where some of n8n's really powerful practical benefits, especially around cost and control, truly come out.
So the quick start itself, it's designed to be very step-by-step. First step, sign up for n8n Cloud. Second, open a workflow template. And they point you to one that uses specific training nodes.
Yes, the training nodes. These are clever. They're designed purely for learning. They mimic real actions, getting data, editing it, but they use fake built-in data.
So you don't need real credentials right away.
Exactly. Nodes like customer data store or edit fields, they let you simulate getting and processing data without connecting to your actual sensitive systems or setting up complex logins immediately. It removes a big hurdle for beginners.
Okay, so you open this template. It already has a couple of these training nodes connected. It starts with, say, the customer data store node to simulate getting data. And that data flows into an edit fields node. What's the point of that edit fields node in this learning flow?
Its job is basically to take the raw data coming out of the first node, which might have more info than you need, and just clean it up or refine it.
Right.
In this quick start, it's set up to pull out just the specific bits you want, like the customer's name, their ID, maybe a description, and it makes those specific pieces easy to grab later. It's a super common pattern in automation. Get data, then shape it.
And the tutorial suggests you can double-click these nodes.
Yeah, they encourage you to explore. Double-click a node, its settings pop up, and you can see exactly how it's configured and what it does to the data passing through.
Got it. After loading the template, step 3 is running the workflow. But you're not running the whole thing yet, are you? Just the first part.
Correct. When you hit test workflow at this stage, it just executes the nodes that are currently connected. So it gets the fake data from customer data store, passes it through edit fields. The crucial outcome here is that the process data, the refined data from edit fields, is now loaded and available. It's ready for you to use in any next steps you add.
Which logically leads to step 4, adding another node. The quick start suggests adding a third one, like the customer messenger node, another training node. How do you actually add it?
So you'll see a little connector point on the output side of the edit fields node. You click that.
Okay.
That basically asks, okay, what happens after this step? A menu pops up. You can search for customer messenger, select it, and bam, n8n drops the node onto the canvas and draws the connection line for you. Pretty neat.
And once it's there, you need to tell it what message to send, right?
hmm
This is where they introduce a really core concept, expressions. This seems super important for making things dynamic. What are expressions exactly?
This is what the magic of data flowing between nodes really happens. Expressions let you take data that was processed by a previous node.
Like the customer name from the edit fields node.
Exactly. And you use that data dynamically in the settings of the current node. So instead of typing a fixed message, you're creating a placeholder that gets filled with live data when the workflow runs.
Can you give me that specific example from the quick start again? How you use expressions in that customer messenger node?
Sure. The tutorial shows a couple of things. First, you can literally drag the customer variable, which came out of the edit fields node, right into the customer ID field of the messenger node. That tells the messenger which customer this message is for based on the data that just arrived.
Dynamic addressing.
Right. But the example that really shows the flexibility is building the message content itself.
You mean writing something like hi JSON at customer name? Your description is JSON.customer description.
Exactly that. That's the perfect example. Those bits in the double curly braces, like JSON.customer name, those are the expressions.
So JSON refers to the data from the previous node.
Pretty much. It usually refers to the JSON data structure that came out of the previous node, in this case, the edit fields node. And JSON.customer name specifically says, go into that data structure, find the value for the key named customer name.
And stick the actual name right there?
Exactly. Insert the actual customer's name right into the message text. So you're building a personalized message on the fly using the data that just flowed through.
I see. Okay, so this is really how you build dynamic processes, not just static ones. The output is step one, automatically feeds into step two. That's really powerful.
It's the fundamental mechanism. Get data, transform it, then use the result in the next step, sending a message, updating a database, whatever. Expressions are the glue that makes that data transfer and dynamic setup work seamlessly.
And after configuring that third node with expressions, the final step in the quick start is tailing the complete workflow.
Yep. You run all three connected nodes now. You see the data flow from the start, get processed, and then the messenger node uses that processed data, the name, description, to simulate sending that personalized message. Gives you a concrete view of the whole sequence.
So the big takeaway here for anyone listening, going through a simple quick start like this really makes that basic flow, get info, process it, act on it, feel very tangible. And learning to connect nodes and use expressions to pass data is really the core skill, isn't it?
It's the foundation, like learning basic grammar before you write an essay. It underpins everything else you'll build, no matter how complex.
Okay, building on those fundamentals, the sources really hammer home the sheer breadth of n8n's capabilities, especially its ability to integrate with just a massive number of other tools and services. They mention over 300 integrations available right out of the box.
Yeah, 300 plus is a lot. And what that number means practically is there's a really high chance that the software you already use, spreadsheets, chat apps, databases, CRM, marketing tools, dev tools, already has a dedicated n8n node designed just for it.
Cuts down the setup time hugely.
Massively. It reduces the effort needed to start connecting your existing stack.
And they list tons of examples, right, across all sorts of categories. You've got Google Sheets, Telegram, Slack, Notion, Gmail, Airtable, Google Drive,
MySQL, Postgres.
HubSpot, Salesforce, WhatsApp, GitHub, Jira, Asana, covering development, communication, AI, data storage, marketing, productivity, sales. It's a huge list.
It just shows how versatile n8n can be. You could automate customer outreach using HubSpot and Gmail, manage your code repos with GitHub and Jira updates, sync project data between Notion and Google Sheets. The possibilities are huge just with those pre-built ones.
But here's where another critical feature comes in, something our sources really flag as super important for flexibility: the HTTP request node.
Ah, yes. The escape hatch, in a way.
Why is that node so important when you already have 300 plus integrations?
Because, while 300 is a lot, but it's not everything, the HTTP request node lets n8n connect to basically any service or application in the world that has an API and application programming interface, even if there isn't a special pre-built n8n node for it.
So if you need to connect to some, I don't know, niche industry forum API or maybe an internal company tool that has an API,
Exactly. If it speaks the language of the web via an API, the HTTP request node can talk to it. It's like a universal adapter.
that bridges the gaps the big platforms might miss.
Precisely. As long as the service has an accessible API, and most modern services do, you just configure the HTTP request node. You tell it the URL, the method, like get to fetch data, POST to send it, any authentication it needs, the data payload, and n8n can communicate.
Okay, so why is that immense flexibility especially relevant when we think back to that community discussion, the example from Iran?
This is where its practical power really hits home in different environments. In many places, businesses rely heavily on custom internal tools, or maybe local or regional software that's just not globally popular, or
Mhm.
even older systems that happen to have an API.
Things that wouldn't have a dedicated n8n node.
Right. Many automation platforms would just hit a wall there, but the HTTP request node lets n8n integrate with that specific localized tech landscape. It can talk to services that might never make it onto a global integration list. It means n8n isn't just for automating tasks between Google, Slack, and Salesforce. It can adapt to your specific business environment and your regional tools.
That makes a huge difference in the real world. It unlocks automation possibilities that just wouldn't exist otherwise. Now, while the visual editor is great for accessibility, the sources also clarify that n8n doesn't shut out developers. It includes significant coding capability.
Absolutely. The visual nodes and expressions handle a ton of logic and data work, but there are always edge cases or really complex scenarios. N8n includes things like the code node. This lets developers write custom JavaScript or Python code directly inside the workflow.
So if you need to do some really specific math or maybe use a niche software library that doesn't have a node, you just drop in a code block right within the visual flow.
Exactly that. You get the full power of a programming language. You can use external packages if needed, implement really complex logic that might be clunky with standard nodes, but you keep it all integrated within that overall visual workflow structure. It elegantly bridges low-code and full-code development.
Nice. And to help people get started even faster, there's a huge templates library. They mentioned over 900 ready-to-use workflow templates.
Yeah, these are basically pre-built solutions for common tasks. Think email automation sequences, data sync between apps, setting up simple API endpoints, basic chatbots, web scraping, and summarizing.
Backing up your workflows to GitHub.
Right. Converting data formats, the range is massive.
So it's like having a cookbook of automation recipes. If you need to do something, chances are someone's built a template that does something similar, and you can just grab it and tweak it instead of starting from a blank canvas.
It's a massive accelerator, lets you see best practices, explore what's possible, and get something functional running really quickly. Then you customize it for your exact needs.
So for you listening, thinking about your own work, this combination seems really key. You've got the visual builder for ease, tons of integrations for common stuff, the absolutely critical HTTP request node for connecting to anything else with an API, making it adaptable to niche or local systems, and the option to drop into code for heavy lifting, plus hundreds of templates to jumpstart things. It means n8n is incredibly versatile.
It really scales. It scales with your technical comfort level and with the complexity of the task you're trying to automate, from just moving data around to really intricate system integrations.
Okay, let's shift gears now to the really exciting part, the area that's moving incredibly fast, AI. Our sources spend quite a bit of time detailing n8n's support for building intelligent systems, moving beyond just automating predefined steps
Right.
to automating tasks that need some level of understanding, interpretation, or maybe decision-making.
This shift is huge, and the sources do a good job laying out some core concepts here. First, they talk about large language models, LLMs.
Like ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, those kinds of things. How do the sources describe what they fundamentally do?
Their basic job, as explained, is text generation. They're trained to predict the next word in a sequence based on the input you give them. They're often described as sort of single-step processors.
You give it a prompt, it gives you text back.
Exactly, based on its training data. But it doesn't inherently do anything in the real world or plan multiple steps on its own.
Okay, so an LLM is a powerful text engine. But then the sources introduce AI agents. How are agents different from just a plain LLM?
This is where it gets really interesting and where n8n's AI features really shine. AI agents use LLMs as their core brain for understanding language,
Okay.
but they add crucial goal-oriented functionality on top. Agents can reason, plan, make decisions about what to do next, and this is key use external tools and APIs to interact with the real world or access external info.
So the sources make that distinction clear. LLMs generate language, AI agents perform tasks.
Yes, complex, real-world tasks to achieve a specific goal. That's the difference.
So an agent doesn't just write text. It can look at a problem, maybe break it down, figure out which tools it needs, like a search engine or a calculator or another app.
Right.
Use those tools, get the results back, process them, and then decide the next step, potentially involving multiple steps and different tools.
Exactly. They can chain actions together. Like if the goal is find the current stock price for company X and email it to my manager, a basic LLM can't do that.
Right.
But an AI agent could reason, one, need stock prices. Two, I have a stock lookup tool available, maybe configured via an n8n node. Three, use the tool with company X. Four, tool returns the price. Five, need to send an email. Six, have an email sending tool. Seven, use the email tool to send the price to the manager. It plans and executes using external capabilities.
And in n8n, the main piece for bringing this intelligence into your workflow is the AI agent node itself.
Yes, that's the visual block on the canvas representing the AI's decision engine. Like other nodes, you connect it into your workflow, but it has these special connection points for things like the specific AI model it uses, its memory, and the tools it can access. It lets you smoothly blend AI-driven steps with your traditional automation logic.
Okay, this raises a practical question, though. How do you know when to use just a standard n8 node versus when you actually need an AI agent?
The sources give pretty good guidance here. For tasks that are structured, predictable, based on simple data checks like if an email address is valid, send a confirmation.
Standard node territory.
Right, they're efficient, built for that. But for tasks involving understanding unstructured content, like reading the body of an email and deciding if it's urgent, or summarizing a long document, or analyzing a product review to pull out sentiment.
Things that need interpretation.
Exactly. Or dealing with ambiguity, or needing information that's outside the current workflow data. That's where an AI agent becomes the right tool. They can process and act on fuzzy information in ways static nodes just can't.
That distinction makes a lot of sense. And the sources include a very practical tutorial on building a basic AI chat agent workflow. What's the main goal there?
The goal is really just to get you building a functional, customizable AI chat agent. It shows how the pieces fit together, the trigger, the agent node, the model, the memory in a live workflow so you can actually see it respond.
And what do you need to follow along with that tutorial?
You need an n8n access. Again, cloud is easiest for following the tutorial steps, especially with the free trial. And you need credentials for a compatible chat model service.
Like OpenAI.
Yeah, the tutorial uses OpenAI as the main example, but the sources mention support for others too. DeepSeek, Google Gemini, Grok, Azure, etc. So you're not locked into just one AI provider.
Okay, walk us through the basic steps of building that chat agent workflow in n8n.
All right, so first you create a new blank workflow. Like any workflow, it needs something to kick it off, a trigger. For a chat agent, you add the chat trigger node.
That listens for incoming messages.
Exactly, it's the listener. The tutorial mentions it can eventually connect to different chat interfaces, but for testing right away, n8n has this handy built-in local chat window right in the editor.
Okay, so trigger first, then step 3.
Step 3, you add the main brain, the AI agent node. Drag it onto the canvas, connect it after the chat trigger. Initially, you just add it with its default settings.
And the AI agent node needs the actual AI model connected to it.
Right. Step 4 is configuring that AI agent node, and the critical part is attaching a chat model node to it. There's like a little plus button on the AI agent node to add connected components.
And you'd pick, say, the OpenAI chat model node.
Exactly. The tutorial shows adding that one. It's worth noting the specific models available might depend on your OpenAI account, like maybe GPT-4 or Mini for a basic account. This chat model node is what the AI agent actually sends the prompts to. It's the engine generating the text response.
And because you're talking to an external service like OpenAI, you need authentication, right? Credentials.
Yep. Step 5, adding credentials. You have to securely give n8n the keys or tokens it needs to talk to the external AI service. For OpenAI, this means getting an API key from your OpenAI account settings. The tutorial even links you to where to find it and then adding it securely into n8n's credentials manager.
It's got to keep those keys safe.
Absolutely. They control access to your external account.
Okay, so trigger gets message, agent node decides, chat model generates text using credentials. Now you can test it.
Yes. Step 6 is testing the initial setup. Use that built-in local chat window, type a message, hit send, watch the response pop up. And a really useful feature the tutorial points out is viewing the AI agent logs.
What do the logs show you?
They show the exact input the agent got, the output it produced, and also something called the system prompt that was automatically sent to the model behind the scenes.
The system prompt. What's that doing?
Good question. That leads right into step 7, changing the prompt. The system prompt is basically a hidden instruction you give the AI model before it sees the user's message. It sets the stage, tells the AI how to behave.
Like its personality.
Yeah, or its role. The default might be generic, like you are a helpful assistant, but the tutorial shows you can add the system message option to the AI agent node and change this text.
So you could change it to, I don't know, you are a pirate who speaks only in sea shanties.
You absolutely could. And when you test it again with that new system prompt, you'd see the AI's responses totally change. It's a really clear demo of how you can steer the AI's behavior just by tweaking that initial instruction.
And that's a cool way to see how prompts work. But what about remembering the conversation? Like, if I tell it my name, step 8 is adding persistence or memory.
Crucial for any real chat. Without memory, every message is brand new. If you say, my name is Alex, then ask, what's my name? A memoryless agent has no clue. Adding a memory component fixes that.
Allows it to remember past turns.
Exactly. It retains the context.
And a tutorial suggests a simple option for memory.
Yes, it introduces simple memory as being good enough for basic conversations. You connect it to the AI agent node, and it usually remembers the last few interactions by default, maybe the last 5 message pairs.
Okay.
Once you add that and test again, you can ask follow-up questions like, what's my name? And the agent will remember, making the conversation feel much more natural.
Definitely makes it a usable agent. And the final step, number 9.
Save the workflow. Always save your work. That basic tutorial really demystifies building an AI agent. You connect visual blocks, tweak settings, and boom, you see a functional AI agent responding.
It takes something that sounds really complex and makes it accessible through that visual approach.
Mm-hmm.
And the sources suggest this basic setup is just the starting point, right? They mentioned different types of AI agent nodes.
Yeah, depending on the job you want the agent to do, you might pick a different core agent type. The sources list examples like the conversational agent we just built, but also things like an OpenAI functions agent, a plan and execute agent, a React agent, SQL agent, tools agent.
Specialized brains for different kinds of tasks.
Kind of, yeah. Each is optimized for slightly different reasoning or ways of interacting. And critically, they highlight the huge range of subnodes and tools you can plug into these agents. This is how you give the agent powers beyond just talking, how it can actually do things or get specific info.
What kinds of tools and subnodes are we talking about here?
The list is pretty long. Sources mention data loaders, like one for GitHub Docs to pull info from code repos, different embeddings for prepping data for knowledge searches, support for many chat model providers, so you can pick the best LLM, various memory managers, like using MongoDB or Redis for more permanent memory than simple memory,
Okay.
output parsers to structure the AI's answers, retrievers for fetching info from knowledge bases, text splitters for handling big documents, and a really important category, general tools.
Tell me more about those general tools. What can they actually let an AI agent do inside n8n?
These are the agent's hands and eyes on the world, basically. The sources list tools like a calculator, SirPappy for Google search.
So it can search the live internet.
Yep.
Gives it live web access. Also Wikipedia for general knowledge lookup. Or, and this is incredibly powerful, the ability to call other n8n workflows as a tool.
Oh, wait, really? An AI agent in workflow A could decide it needs something done, and it can trigger workflow B to do it.
Exactly. Imagine workflow B is specialized for, say, processing invoices. The main AI agent can just delegate the task. Process this invoice using the invoice workflow tool. It allows for really complex, layered automation. The AI handles the smart decisions and delegates specific jobs.
That's like building automated teams.
It kind of is. And the sources also briefly mention more advanced concepts like RAG retrieval augmented generation and using vector databases.
How do RAG and vector databases fit in? What problem do they solve?
They tackle the fact that standard LLMs only know what they were trained on, usually up to a certain date.
Their knowledge is frozen in time. Right. ARI and vector databases let you give the AI agent access to your specific, maybe very current or private, knowledge. You load your company documents, product manuals, recent reports into a vector database using n8n integrations like Pinecone, Supabase, etc.
Okay.
Then, the ARTIG process lets the AI agent, when asked a question, first search your database for relevant info, and then use that retrieved info to generate its answer. It gives the agent specific expertise and up-to-date knowledge it wouldn't otherwise have.
Okay, so we've gone from basic automation to building a chat agent with memory, to agents that can search the web, calculate things, access custom knowledge, even run other workflows. What are some real-world AI uses mentioned in the sources beyond just simple chat?
Well, the sources give examples like building an intelligent inventory system where an AI agent interacts with data in Airtable to make stock decisions that was something discussed in the community posts.
Makes sense.
They also mentioned templates for tasks like scraping web pages and having an AI summarize the content, or doing company enrichment where the agent visits a company website, maybe using the HTTP node, and uses AI to extract key info like their mission or industry.
So for you listening, the point is that building an AI agent in n8n isn't just theoretical. It lets you create systems that can understand complex inputs, make decisions using external data, use tools, and do complex tasks that used to need a human. It unlocks a whole new level of automation.
Yeah, it moves automation from just doing the same thing over and over to doing things adaptively and intelligently.
Okay, let's pivot now to the practical advantages of using n8n overall. Pulling insights from all our sources, especially that community view from different places, what are the real benefits people are seeing?
Well, a huge one is accessibility, which we touched on. That visual editor makes it approachable for folks without deep coding skills.
Right?
But the coding nodes mean technical users aren't limited either. They can build really complex stuff if they need to. It serves a wide range of people.
There's a tool you can kind of grow with.
Exactly. Another key point, really highlighted in the community discussions, is cost effectiveness. The fact that there's a free and open source community version is a really big deal.
How does that open source part translate to being cost effective, especially in, say, that n8n example context?
Well, you can install that community version on your own server, or even just a spare computer you have lying around. This self-hosting is super powerful.
You don't pay subscription fees.
Right. You avoid the recurring fees common with many proprietary tools. That can be massive savings, especially for smaller businesses or individuals. And in places where maybe accessing external cloud services is unreliable or restricted or needs annoying workarounds like VPNs because of location or policies.
Like potentially in Iran.
Potentially. Self-hosting n8n means the core automation engine runs entirely on your own gear. You bypass those external dependencies and potential access hurdles completely.
Ah, okay. So that specific example makes total sense now. Self-hosting isn't just about cost. It's about control and reliability when you can't or don't want to rely on external clouds.
Exactly. It gives you independence. Your automation backbone is under your control. Then there's flexibility. We talked about the 300+ integrations, but the crucial piece, again, is that custom API support via the HTTP request node.
Meaning it connects to that niche local app or internal database that's not on any global list.
Precisely. It's not just stuck connecting the big global players. It can integrate with your specific software mix, including custom tools or regional systems.
Got it. What else?
The sources also point to the strength of the community and resources. There's lots of official documentation, tutorials, text and video, and a really active community forum.
That forum seems important. That example where a user asked about differences they saw in the AI agent node versus a tutorial.
Yeah.
That shows people are really using it, sharing knowledge, helping each other figure things out.
It shows a healthy ecosystem, right? If you hit a snag, chances are someone else has too, or can point you in the right direction. And finally, security and privacy. Always huge concerns.
Especially with automation and data.
For sure. With the self-hosted version, you have complete control over your data, where it lives, where workflows run. For organizations handling sensitive info, that's often non-negotiable. The sources do say n8n Cloud has high security standards too, but self-hosting offers that ultimate in-house data control.
Here, you have options depending on your needs there. Okay, let's wrap this section by looking at some practical use cases from the sources. How do these advantages actually play out?
Okay, the sources give examples across different areas. For online stores, automating order confirmation emails instantly, automatically updating inventory counts in a spreadsheet or database, sending team notifications via Slack when a big order comes in.
Saves tons of manual clicking and typing right there.
Totally. For freelancers or small teams, managing projects by syncing data automatically between tools. Pulling Trello tasks into a Google Sheet, adding form leads directly to HubSpot, sending reminders based on Google Calendar.
Keeping everything in sync without the busy work.
For startups, automating lead capture. Grabbing data from website forms, saving it to a CRM or spreadsheet, triggering welcome emails or sales alerts. For customer support, building chatbots for FAQs. And again, that flexibility with the HTTP request node means these bots could potentially plug into popular local messaging apps, not just the global ones.
Tailoring support to where customers actually are.
And for IT teams, automating monitoring alerts, triggering backups on schedule, creating tickets automatically when system events happen.
Automating that proactive system care. And that specific example from n8n you mentioned earlier, how does that one Illustrate these points.
Yeah, that story from the community discussions is a perfect example of everything coming together. It was a small company automating their website registration process. This involved grabbing data from the website form, maybe using the HTTP node if it wasn't standard, saving that data into an Excel file, and then sending a welcome message to the new user via a specific local messenger app.
Which probably didn't have a built-in n8n node.
Almost certainly not. So the HTTP request node was likely essential there to connect to it. And the user reported that automating just that one process saved their team several hours every single week.
Wow, that single example ties it all together. The accessibility to build the workflow, the flexibility to connect to local tools via custom APIs, maybe cost savings from self-hosting, and the real tangible benefit of saving hours of manual work.
Yeah, these real-world examples, especially that specific one, show how n8n, with its mix of ease of use, broad integrations, custom connections, coding options, and now AI smarts can solve real business problems, save serious time, and boost efficiency, whether you're one person or a team using global tools or local ones.
Okay, we have definitely covered a lot of ground in this deep dive. We kicked things off looking at that common frustration with repetitive manual work and explored n8n as this powerful visual workflow builder designed to automate it. We walked through the basics, nodes, connections, workflows, and saw how the quick start gets you hands-on fast, introducing that vital idea of expressions for dynamic data flow.
We then looked at n8n's wider capabilities, that huge library of 300+ integrations. But crucially, the power of the HTTP request node for connecting to basically anything with an API is super important for custom or local systems. We also noted the ability to add custom code and the usefulness of the template library.
And then we really dove into the AI side, differentiating between LLMs and the more capable tool-using AI agents. We walked through actually building a basic AI chat agent, showing how to connect the model, credentials, change its personality with prompts, and give it memory.
Right, and we touched on the broader AI features, different agent types, the variety of tools they can use, like web search or even other workflows, and how things like array and vector databases let them access specific external knowledge.
Finally, we summarized the practical advantages: accessibility, cost-effectiveness, especially self-hosted, flexibility for integrations, the community support, and data control, all illustrated by those use cases and that really concrete example from Tehran saving hours weekly.
And while we've built a pretty solid foundation here and explored building basic AI agents, there's definitely more depth for you to explore later, digging into different advanced agent types, using more complex tool sets, implementing sophisticated things like RB for specific knowledge tasks.
Absolutely. This knowledge is now yours to take further. So here's a final thought for you to chew on, something to consider this week. Think about a specific task in your own work, or maybe even personal life, that just feels repetitive or tedious, or maybe something that requires you to constantly sift through information to make little decisions.
We all have those.
How might a tool like n8n, with its power to connect apps visually, automate steps, use code if needed, and now integrate these smart tool-using AI agents, how might that fundamentally change how you approach that task? What completely new possibilities open up for you when the routine stuff gets automated and you can weave in systems that can understand, reason, and interact with the world intelligently on your behalf?